First thing you should know about me is I live on coffee. Hi, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, I am Shalise, the creator behind Sodbuster Living, and I homeschool 5 children. And today's video is a collaboration with our host, Joy Cherick, and several others, and I'm going to have to read their names off because I do not have the memory to keep them all in my head. But we also have One Blessed Mess, Rooted in Rest, Living with Eve, Our Blessed Life, Pennies and Salt, Simply Living It, Fields Full House, Little Pod School, and Home Sweet Homeschool. And I'm going to have everybody's channel linked down below, but especially go to our host who has just reached out to many of these wonderful ladies and asked them to participate in this collaboration. And thank you for including me. What an honor. Well, hello and welcome back. I'm leaving that first portion of the video that I filmed yesterday there. I got interrupted so many times that by the time I finally pieced everything together, I didn't really capture what I had wanted to say. And so I'm back here trying to share with you what the heart of this video is going to be. And hopefully I can do it in less than the 25 minutes that it took to film all of that and edit it and piece and whatever. Okay, so coming from a Charlotte Mason method, principle, idea, methodology, there's a number of grammar terms that you can use to describe what exactly it is we do. But basically, I like the main focus of a Charlotte Mason philosophy, which is the child is born persons. And since we're talking about homeschooling failures, I kind of want to address that. Ironically, I was reached out to be a participation of this collaboration around the time that I had started reaching out to some of my mentors, women that are doing a wonderful job raising their children and who I really look up to and admire, and homeschooling using the Charlotte Mason methods and principles. And I had reached out because I was getting really frustrated. So I think it's interesting that this opens up at around the same time. Well, already we're in the middle of interruptions, so I'm just going to have to pick up from where I am. And doing this collaboration, I literally could list off the top of my head dozens of failures that I have done within my homeschool. But I kept going back to that Charlotte Mason principle that children are born persons. And I kept going back and I kept going back. Isn't it interesting that I so often think of how a Charlotte Mason methodology kind of mimics so much of life? And maybe this is why some of us really gravitate towards it, because we can see that. And in this case, I kept thinking of my own experience in growing and becoming a better version of myself, and thinking about what that looks like and helping my children become better versions of themselves. They're still the person, the whole personality of that child is still there. But in the homeschool classroom, at the table with our books, whether it's living or not, in life, whether it's learning moments or not, my daughter is kind of, going back to that children's born persons, my failure was that I tried to lump all of my children as a one character mold. I keep going back to thinking, well, my children are not just me. They're not just my offspring. They're also my husband's. And he and his personality are part of them too. So if you have 2 different personalities, me and my husband, and then you come together and you make a child, that child may have more tendencies toward the mom, or may have more tendencies toward the dad, or it may be a whole completely different blending of that, because genetics is awesome and it's fascinating. And going to children are born persons and trying to homeschool this child and trying to apply all the principles, I think we're going to have this situation where we do give them the feast of ideas, but in educating the whole child, maybe we don't mold, maybe we don't focus so much on the living books with one child. Not that we don't use them, not that they are discarded, but this child is more of a hands-on, even though he's older and he is required to do more. Maybe this child needs more of those hands-on learning. Not that Charlotte Mason didn't say that, but me says, the person in me is like, let's use living books because I can't do that. I can't teach you. So let's use living books to learn something that I can do and I can teach you. Well, that's my personality kind of molding that character rather than, okay, let's bring out this personality and this character in the child. And what do I need to do to accomplish that? In a completely different viewpoint, my daughter is a lot of me, but she still has a lot of her father in her. And I easily forget that, seeing so much of myself in her and my love of books, that when her father, that person in her of her father comes out, I'm kind of like, wait, whoa. This is not how I envisioned it. This is not what I expected. This isn't anything that I planned for. And that, I think, is a huge homeschool fail, because we could get pulled into having the child lead us into so many directions that we're getting pulled in opposite ways and nobody can focus and nothing is going right. And this is where that pendulum comes in. I could mold the child to fit me, or I can go the complete opposite way and the child can lead whatever way he wants and we're going to get pulled in all different directions and nothing is going to get accomplished. And I did both of those this past year. It's so interesting, but I did both of that. I felt we were getting pulled in all these different directions and with no direction. And so I tried to mold everybody into a one personality unit that worked, rather than seeing it as a kind of what Paul talks about in Corinthians, a whole body with different parts of it being used for different things. And in a homeschool, one of the things that Charlotte Mason did, and she did so well, was to observe children. And she teaches a lot about observing through the nature study, but through so much of life. And with that habit tucked in our pockets, we mothers could take a lot and learn a lot from that. Learning to observe that child and seeing how we can fully educate them. Seeing how we can fully educate them, we would do well to really help them in their weaknesses and capitalize on their strengths. In our homeschools, we can get bogged down with all the day-to-day things that we need to do. With the homeschooling, with our chores, with directing them, leading them, guiding them, and all that fun stuff that education and motherhood and life brings. And in that, everybody talks about being careful not to lose yourself. But I think even a bigger part of it is to give up those expectations that we do have and figure out a way to see that whole child and see life from their perspective, which is what Christ had kept telling us time and time again, until you become like a child. And yes, he was talking about faith and this in the religious sense. But I read something recently that Charlotte Mason wrote, and honestly, it has been infused in my mind, and it is that education is the handmaid of religion. And seeing how she meshed so much of life, education is an atmosphere, discipline, and life, with religious studies, with knowing how God works in all the different ways, and then seeing that in the eyes of a child. Parents sometimes forget that this is our role. Raising our children isn't just to meet a requirement, to meet a checklist. It is to help that whole child grow and become the person, the character that God has meant them to be. And in everything that they have to learn, and every bit of navigating of life that they have to do, we can be their wall of protection. against all those things that hit them and bang them so that they can grow up a strong vessel of their personality and not be kind of conformed. They can be their own person. They're not heavily influenced by we need to be like this or we need to be like that. They can be their own persons. And in my homeschool, I didn't do well in this. This was my failure. I also want to really talk about that word failure because I think we need to address the fact that mothers, we're going to fail. We're going to fail and we're going to fail big time. And we're not perfect. So we cannot do everything perfectly. And once we realize that, I think that relieves some of the stress of making sure that everything is done perfectly. And by that I mean what others say perfection is, not what God has called you to do. That doesn't mean that you throw up your hands and que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. No, if there's an area of weakness that needs working on, you work on it. And I'm sharing with you this thing that I need to work on, and that was my failure, and I'm working on it. And it's recognizing that my child is created in the image of God. And like anything else in life, education is just a tool in the toolbox of everything that child will have. It's not just about academics. It's about that character of the child too. I liken it to a packet of seeds. We open a pack of seeds and we see something what it needs to be, and so we plant that seed expecting this perfect, picturesque tomato seed. Let's use tomato seeds. Big, juicy red tomato seeds, because that's what it shows on the package. And it gets planted, but you know what? Conditions can shape that tomato. It can get sunburnt. It can split. It can have too little water and then too much water, and then it has all these issues. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to look like that tomato. That tomato seed looks like that because, well, let's just go over the digital whatever that it does to create this perfect picture. You see where I'm going? We have what it should look like. And we can do our best and condition this plant, this tomato plant, to look like what we know it should look like. But in the end, I won't be able to grow a cucumber from this tomato. I won't be able to grow a Roma tomato if I planted a beefsteak. Children are born their own persons. And they're made in the image of God, that perfect tomato. So, in all of your homeschool endeavors this coming year, please remember that. Please remember that this child is created in the image of God. As a Christian, I have to give that perspective. That is my core beliefs. And so, that's what I'm sharing. That's what I'm sharing with you all today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, please do not forget to check that playlist because there is so many fabulous ladies. And if you are coming here from their channel, thank you so much for stopping by. And I hope this video was helpful and useful to some of you out there. And if you would like to stick around for more videos, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. This past week, I did a day in the life every single day to kind of show a progression of a full week in our home. What it's like homeschooling in a full week is every day the same. And it might surprise you exactly what that looked like. So stick around for more videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much, Joy Cherrick, for inviting me, and for the rest of you, adios. Why is it every time I sit down to do a stinking video, the flies come? It's not just a California problem. It happens in Indiana. I am a fly magnet. Wow, is that your McLaren? Well, Ben, you got your McLaren, and at a much affordable price.
Mm-hmm. Well, Well, there's not even prices on it because we got it free.
Even better. I love free. Free is awesome. There's your McLaren. The insurance is going to be cheap on that.